Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, and welcome back to the channel for another item tier list. I figured it was probably time to update this. It's been a while since my last one. I know you guys enjoy these videos. And quite a bit has changed since my last update to this tier list. You know, there's been buffs and nerfs, there's been a few new items and stuff like that, so I thought it was time. As always, we'll be ranking all of the items in the game from S to F. They are ordered by role, so you can use the timestamps in the timeline bar to skip around if you want to see a specific role. We've got Mage first, then Assassin/Jungle, then ADC, and then Tank items last. Or you can just sit back, relax, enjoy the whole video, grab a beverage maybe, and we'll get started. Oh, and as always, this is based on a multitude of things. It's mostly my own opinion, what I've seen in ranked, what I've had success with, and what I've seen other people do well with in like Demigod EU ranked where I play. But it's also a little bit of like opinions I've seen from other people, like streamers I've watched and whatnot, like that does filter in. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump in first with the Mage/mid lane items. Deso is first up, which is still an S tier item. Deso has not been touched, and it is still very, very strong. 100 intelligence is not too shabby for the price. Comes with some cooldown rate as well, and then one of the best mage passives in the entire game, just like resetting your abilities constantly. With a high CDR build and certain mage ultimates, you can even double cast them in one fight. Like, it is crazy. This item is insane. Should be in all of your mage builds. Polynomicon probably remains S tier. It definitely did take a hit with the nerf, but honestly, it was mainly a hit for, like, specific mid laners that were, like, really abusing Polynomicon, like Merlin, for example. For a lot of mages, it's basically not even worse than it was before. You know, if you get, like, 2 procs of this now, it's 160% scaling, whereas before, if you would get 3 procs, it would be 180, so, like, it's barely worse for a lot of mages, to be honest. Still a very good item, still one of the highest DPS items in terms of kit dumping people in the entire game. 80% scaling is nothing to laugh at. Gem of Focus is pretty good. I'll probably give Gem of Focus like a B tier. I think this is definitely worth a pickup on certain mages if you really want that movement speed. It has 20 cooldown rate as well, which is nice. That's pretty high for mage items. But yeah, it's really that movement speed passive if you want to pick this up. Your damage will suffer a little bit. This has like, I think 50 int on it and no other offensive stats other than the cooldown rate, obviously. But yeah, it's the movement speed that you really want from this thing. You know, certain mages like Zeus or Poseidon or Janus even can make good use of this. Like the mages that really like having that extra movement and slipperiness, you can build Gem of Focus and it's fine. Nothing crazy, but absolutely a fine pickup, which is what B tier would be for me. Book of Thought, I'm still not a big fan of. I think I'll throw Book of Thought to C tier. It's just too slow for what it offers, in my opinion. Like, yes, once you can get this fully stacked up, you do get infinite mana, which is nice on some picks, but often you don't need it. If you just have a tiny bit of MP5 in your build from something like a Polynomicon, you're usually fine. And yes, it gives a high amount of int. It is going to give you one of the highest amounts of ints in the entire game on any mage item, but it is very slow. You know, you're going to have a rough early game if someone like rushes Pendant into you or whatever, and you have a Book of Thought, you're going to be getting online a bit slower. And all it's giving you is int. Like, that's basically all it's giving you. Yes, you get the mana, but like, you don't really care that much. Obviously, like, if you have a heavy mana synergy build or god, like a Kulkan, this can be worth it, but generally, I wouldn't be building Book of Thought right now. Divine Ruin is fine, I think. I'll put Divine Ruin in B tier. I actually don't think this item is that bad anymore. I used to think it was really bad. I think it's buildable now. It's just usually you have better options that would fill out your 6 slots and you don't really have room for Divine in the build. But I don't think it's a bad item by any means. The proc can actually do quite a significant amount of damage, especially if you're on a god that can easily just like throw out poke abilities to start a fight. I do think this item is like half decent now, to be honest. It is pretty good for like overall damage. Obviously, it's a proc that's on a cooldown, so it's not going to be giving you as consistent damage. It doesn't give you any cooldown rate or anything, but for that initial burst of damage, like to start a fight, it's actually quite solid. Dreamer's Idol remains F tier. This item is just ass garbage, man. There's pretty much no reason to build this unless you want to troll around or if you're insanely far ahead and you just want to one-shot people. Not really worth building overall. The cost of this item does not justify the reward that it gives. Rodent Tahuti, obvious S tier item. This should be in every single mage build, no question. Gives you a ton more in. There's not really much more to say about Rod. Bloodbound Book is like fine, I think. Probably not as good as like Divide and Gem of Focus. I'll probably put it in the C tier. Generally, mage lifesteal items aren't super good right now. This is probably one of the better ones though. Like, it can give a pretty fatty shield depending on how much you have in your build, and I think it's like max health scaling or something as well, right? It's an okay item. I don't think it's completely terrible. It's buildable, kind of, but there's just better items you could be throwing into your build, especially if you want safety. There's better options too. Ancient Signet, probably still bad. Or not bad, but like not great, I guess. Is it as good as Divine Ruin? Honestly, I don't think so. I think Divine Ruin actually outperforms Ancient Signet, in my opinion. They're very similar items in terms of, like, a relatively long cooldown proc that's going to give you a lot of initial burst damage. I think Divine kind of does its job better, man. I won't lie. Like, I guess maybe you build this on Nuwa because it's going to proc on everyone on your ult, but other than that, I don't really see too much use for him. Soul Gem probably also goes in C tier. I don't think Soul Gem's great right now either. It's not terrible. These items in C tier, you're not throwing if you build them or anything like that, but there's just better options. You have 6 item slots, and Soul Gem generally shouldn't be one of them. Necronomicon, I will probably put into C tier as well. This item can be incredible, obviously. It has one of the highest ceilings in the game. I think it has like over 200 in when you have it fully stacked, which is absurd. I think this comes to like 230 in when you have it fully stacked. So like if you're having an incredible game, you feel like you're not going to die, you're on a safe pick or whatever, you can pick this up and you will start absolutely one-shotting people once you get it stacked up. But it's a very risky item, and it doesn't really give you anything but int. So yeah, I think C tier, but for slightly different reasons. Like I do think this item can be incredibly powerful. It's just in general, in most of your games, I wouldn't really recommend building Necro. Doom Orb, I don't really see built much either, to be honest. Maybe it's worthy of a B tier. It does give a lot of upfront power. I do think it's probably better than Book of Thoth, though it's pretty close. The items fill similar purposes, obviously. Just trying to give you like a big, massive int bomb, basically. I guess it's probably not as good as like Gem of Focus and Divine Ruin, though, to be honest, man. I think I probably have to put Doom Orb in C tier. I don't think it's like super amazing. Maybe we could shift a few things around here. Maybe I do like these two up here and then move the better ones of these up here. So something like this, maybe. Maybe that makes a bit more sense, just to kind of spread things out a little bit rather than like a bunch of items up here and then a bunch of items in C tier. Staff of Mirrodin, super fun item. Generally not super great, to be honest. At best, this item is C tier, I think. It's obviously better on certain picks. You know, Zeus notorious for this item. You can like double detonate people and stuff like that. It feels like the item should be good, man. Like they buffed the cooldown on it so much. Isn't it like 60 seconds now or something? Like every minute you can double cast. But I don't see it built. It doesn't feel impactful enough a lot of the time. I think I'll probably throw it into the C tier. I think it's usable, but I don't think it's great. Bancross Talon, D probably. I don't think it's like F tier worthy, but Bancross just doesn't give enough. Like it's a big stat pile and it doesn't give enough stats to justify it over something else. Worldstone, probably C tier. Again, like I guess kind of buildable. It's obviously good on Aspect Merlin. That's like a really good use case for it. But on most picks, you would rather be investing in like actual CDR options like Pendant and Deso than investing in Worldstone that's only going to give you cooldown on your ultimate. Obviously for Merlin, cooldown on his ultimate is cooldown reduction on his regular abilities. So that's why it's good on that pick. But yeah, in general, I don't think Worldstone is super good. It's a fun item, but I don't think it's great. Totem of Death, I'll throw it to B tier. It's okay. There's like a few mages that would want to use this item over Obsidian Shard. It obviously directly competes with Shard, which I guess I'll just put in the S tier because obviously it's good. Should be building Shard every single game unless you're building Totem. You might even want to build both. Shard should be in your 4th slot generally. But yeah, Totem of Death, like there are some gods that can use this, like Merlin, for example, but generally Shard is the preferred option. Just because it gives you that upfront pen. You know, you don't have to hit several ticks of damage before you start doing your big damage. Shard just instantly gives you the big damage and has more pen than Totem on it. But Totem does have better base stats. It comes with some CDR, which can be nice. And it's a decent bit cheaper, I think, as well. Cosmic Horror is like probably C. The item's fine, but I've talked about this before in many item tier lists. It competes directly with Chronos Pendant and is worse than Chronos Pendant. So the only time you should ever be building Cosmic Horror other than Kukulkan, because it has mana on it and it's actually quite good for Kukulkan. Outside of that specific pick where he's converting the mana to power on this item, Pendant is just a better version of Cosmic Horror, so you should never be building Cosmic Horror unless you already have Pendant in your build and you want to get like more CDR. Then I could maybe see it being useful, which is why it's in the C tier, but I guess we'll just throw Pendant in now since we're talking about it. Obvious S tier. This is the best cooldown rate option in the game in general. Deso, you know, you could argue is overall a better item because like the burst cooldown, but this is just going to give you that consistent cooldown that you need. Should be in every single one of your mage builds. 25 cooldown rate is very high, and then a flat reduction passive works really well with high cooldown rate builds and Spear of Desolation, obviously. The lower your base cooldowns are, the more 1 second off of them matters. And yeah, the item is incredible. Should be in all of your mage builds. Honestly, right now, like just these 5 items up here should be in all of your mage builds pretty much, unless you're a bad poly user. Like poly is the only one up here that isn't like an essential item for mage builds right now. Typhon's Heart is terrible. It's a fun item. It's a really fun item. I love seeing people use it, but it's terrible, man. Like the Mike Typhon, he just runs under a tower half the time. He doesn't really do anything. It's really fun to use, but if you want to actually make a good build, Typhon's Heart should not be in it. Soul Reaver, very good, very good. I think this item's underrated right now. Even against like tanks that aren't stacking a bunch of health, Soul Reaver can still do solid damage to them. And if anyone is stacking health in their build, you know, they have items like Hide of the Nemean Lion, or they're stacking up Leviathan's Hide, or they build Gauntlet of Thebes or whatever, this item ruins them. It also works fairly effectively against junglers because jungle starters have health on them, so the enemy jungler will always have more health than you as the mage, unless you're building health, which you shouldn't be. immunity. So Soul Reaver even works on junglers. It does less damage, obviously, but you still get the flat intelligence scaling that this item has. If you're unfamiliar, the way Soul Reaver works is it checks if they have more health than you, and then it does damage based on that health, plus some flat intelligence scaling. So even if they only have one more health point than you do, you're still going to do a little bit of damage with Reaver because of the flat intelligence scaling on it. But if they don't have more health than you, it will never trigger, and you won't get the flat intelligence scaling. So even a jungler with 200 more health than you, you'll still be doing a little bit of damage with your Reaver to them, which is nice. Same thing applies if the enemy ADC has Death's Embrace, because Death's Embrace has 150 health on it. So again, you'll be pinging the ADC for a little bit of damage with this if they have Death's Embrace. So yeah, it's more applicable than you'd think. It's not just an item that is going to hit tanks super hard. It can hit squishies for a little bit as well, especially the enemy jungler. And the enemy jungler is your natural predator as the mage, so being able to do some extra damage to them is nice. Yeah, Soul Reaver's good, man. I think Soul Reaver's a little bit underrated. I think you can absolutely throw this into a lot of your mage builds. I just realized I talked about Bloodbound Book when that was Gluttonous Grimoire. Okay, Bloodbound Book, everything I just said about Grimoire is what I was wanting to say about Bloodbound Book. Grimoire, probably also C tier, I think. It's fine. It used to be like a little bit better when the lifesteal builds were super popular in solo. Lifesteal is still somewhat popular in solo, but it's not like the only thing you can do, whereas it used to be. And you would build this on in-scaling lifestealers, like Mordred, for example. It could be good. It's less applicable in solo lane now than it used to be, and in mid-lane builds, I don't think you can afford to pick up this item when there's better options. So yeah, probably C tier. Wish Granting Pearl, probably pretty bad, honestly. I'll throw it like D. It's a big pile of stats. It gives you some health, which can give you survivability, but generally you would rather get some prots over some health if you want a little bit of survivability, because that's going to be more efficient for you. So, you know, something like a Magi's Blessing to give you a bit of defense. That's generally going to be better than building some health from Wish Granting Pearl. And it's just kind of expensive, man. Like, you usually can't afford this. It's a really bad power spike. You're going to be sitting there for so long trying to complete this item when, like, the enemy mage is just completing their, you know, Road to Hui or their Pendant or their Giant Focus or whatever. So it's just generally not worth it, in my opinion. And like for tanks that want a little bit of in-scaling for damage, I don't think it's worth it either. Jade Scepter is pretty good, man. It's pretty good. I will probably throw Jade Scepter like B at best. It could arguably be a C tier item, I think, after the nerf that it got, but I do think this item is still pretty applicable. The one issue with this is like it's really bad in a lot of matchups because a lot of junglers in the game right now have displacement immunity built in, stuff like Hunbats and Thor on his 3 and things like that. Suku in his 2, like a lot of junglers have built-in displacement immunity, Odin 3 as well. Like there's so many examples. So if you are playing into one of those junglers that has displacement immunity readily available, this item becomes a lot less good. But if you are into a team that doesn't really have a lot of that available, this can save you, man. This can save you. So I do think Jade Scepter is like a potentially worthwhile pickup on those mages where like you feel like you're just getting dived constantly and you need a bit of survivability. This can be good. Although generally I would say it's outclassed in that slot by Magi's Blessing, and you generally don't want 2 of these kind of items in your build. You'll lose too much damage doing that. So generally I would build Magi's over this, but it is an option. Gem of Isolation remains pretty bad. Just doesn't really give you enough. The stats on it are pretty bad. The slow is generally not super relevant. Stampede exists. Slow immunity exists on a lot of characters, and just in general, a 15% slow isn't going to be super relevant a lot of the time. But yeah, there's your mage items. Let's move on to jungler items with Heartseeker first, which is an S tier item. It remains that way. Crazy amounts of damage output by this item. It works differently to Soul Reaver and Kin Size. It doesn't do damage based on difference in health. It just does max health damage that scales with your strength. So no matter who you're hitting with Heartseeker, you're doing a pretty decent amount of damage because even squishy backliners have like 2600 base health in Smite 2, so Heartseeker is going to hit hard on everyone. Should be in all of your jungler builds, all of your ability-based jungler builds. Jotun's Wrath. I've been seeing a little bit more of this item lately after the Pendulum Blade nerf. People are picking up Pendulum Blade a lot less, and they're picking up Jotun's a bit more. I don't think it's an incredible item by any means. I think I'll still probably just throw it to B tier. Then again, will I? It's probably better than the items that are down in B. It's better than like Necro and Book of Thought and stuff like that. I'll probably throw it A. It's a low A, but yeah, Jotun's Wrath is pretty good right now. Obviously, high base cooldown rate. It has a similar passive to Deso, but way worse. It's not bad. It's definitely a worthwhile pickup for CDR and your jungler builds, I think. Transcendence, I don't see too much use out of. I think I'll throw it B. It's a bit situational. I think if you're snowballing, the item can be decent. You can get it stacked up relatively quickly. It's more relevant on some characters than it is on others, but again, it's kind of like Book of Thoth. Like, it's a little bit slow, and all it gives you is power stats. You don't really care about the infinite mana a lot of the time, especially because Hydra's is going to be in your build for a lot of junglers, and Hydra's basically gives you infinite mana anyway, so you don't really care about the infinite mana from Transcendence. So basically, all it's giving you is a crap ton of strength, which can be valuable, but usually you would rather have some extra utility or proc effects or something in your build. Parashu, similar actually. All it gives you is a bunch of power. It's definitely a lot better than Dreamer's Idol. I think I'll throw Parashu to like C. It's not something I would build every game. It's not something I generally consider very much, but it does give you a lot of power. It gives you like 100 base strength, and then you can pop it and get like extra value from Heartseeker and Crusher procs and stuff like that. I think it's a semi-viable option, but not something I would be trying to build every game by any means. Oathsworn Spear, though, is probably an S tier item still. Flat Pen's just OP, man. You know, they need to decide what they want to do with this item. Either it's going to be permanently OP because 20 Flat Pen is just that good, or they need to like remove it or add a bunch of other Flat Pen options to the game. You know, put Flat Pen back on stuff like Jotuns and Deso. Obviously, rebalancing those items. Don't just put Flat Pen on Deso and leave it the way it is. But yeah, they need to decide what they want to do, because otherwise this item's just going to be permanently OP if it's the only way to get Flat Pen in the entire game. But yeah, Flat Pen is OP. You should build this a lot of the time. Like, this item's 60 strength or whatever, plus 20 Flat Pen is going to boost your damage way more than like 100 strength from Transcendence would. This item's just very good for damage. Pendulum Blade, still decent, I think. I think I'd throw it like low A tier. A similar placement to Jotun's Wrath, I think. I do still like this item. The burst cooldown refund that it gives can be really nice. You know, you can get 2 kit rotations out when you might have only been able to get 1 out before dying or something like that. It's still pretty good. It is a little more pricey now, though. I think it's up to like 2,800 gold or something now. Like, it's a pretty pricey item, but I think it's still good. Arendite. I've been seeing a little more Arendite being picked up in jungle in my games. It's okay. I think I'd throw it B. Like, it's a buildable option, I think. Hydra's S tier, one of the best items in the game, honestly. It's very similar to Polynomicon. Like, the amount of damage you put out with Hydra's is just crazy. The vast majority of good junglers in the game can use Hydra's Lament. They have good auto attack cancels, and the item just puts out insane damage. The amount of times I've looked at my damage recap and seen like 400 damage from the jungler's abilities and 1,200 damage from their autos because of Hydra's Lament is crazy. This item's super good. Barbed Carver, pretty good, pretty good. Probably like a low A tier for Barbed Carver, I think. This item kind of came out of nowhere, started showing up a lot in solo lane builds and even a little bit in jungle. It's obviously especially good on characters that can like land a couple of small hits before engaging for their big hits. So, you know, characters like Mordred, like this item, for example, you know, you can 3 them and then get that bonus damage and then go in for all of your damage afterwards. Mordred's 1 as well, you know, the initial slash is pretty low damage, the overhead slash is more damage, and so you'll proc Carver with the first slash, the overhead slash does bonus damage based on Carver. So characters like that can be really good with this item. Characters that have a lot of abilities to spam, also very good with it. Yeah, popping up a little bit as a rush in solo and occasionally in jungle as well. Low A tier, I think, for Carver, but it is good. Titan's Bane, same reason as Shard. Obviously, you need this, dude. It's 35% pen. This should be in all of your builds. There's not really much more to say about it. Crusher, very good item too. Is it like a high A tier or a low S tier? That's the question. Probably a high A tier, I think. But you could definitely argue for a low S tier placement for Crusher. This item's really good. It's generally in all of my jungler builds at the moment. The base stats on it are really good. It has high strength, it has 15 cooldown rate, and then just extra damage on all of your abilities. 35% extra scaling is just very, very good. Tekko Kagi is like fine. Also Tekko Kagi B. I think it's buildable. You know, if you want that extra movement speed, you can chase people down. It's not terrible. Reaper's pretty good. I'd probably throw Reaper low A tier. Similar placement to like Barbed Carver, for example. Seeing a little bit of success in solo as a rush. Occasionally in jungle as well. This basically turns you into Thanatos now. You know, every time you kill, you get a heal. It can allow you to snowball some fights early game on some junglers. It can be pretty good. Bloodforge, I'll throw like C. I don't think Bloodforge is great, honestly. Similar to Bloodbound Book, like, yes, it can give you a fatty shield, but there are generally better options if you want a single, like, defensive item in your build. Rip Talon. Okay, yeah, we're moving into ADC stuff now. Rip Talon is pretty good, I would say. I don't think it's, like, completely broken or anything. You know, it released pretty broken, but they gave it some nerfs. I'd probably throw it, like, low A tier. Rip Talon's still good. Tier Thing, probably low A tier as well. Pretty good item, just gives you extra proc damage if you're going for that kind of a build. Nothing too crazy, but it's good. Sunbeam Bow, S tier. This item is still crazy good, man. If you're going for that on-hit proc build, you should really get used to using Sunbeam Bow. I refused to use it for a long time because it feels super awkward to use. It's hard to get a handle on, but once you get good at using Sunbeam Bow, it's like the damage output from this item is just absolutely insane. Vitalis is fine, I guess. Probably like low B, high C kind of area. Like, this item can make you super annoying to hit, for sure. It's just, it takes a little while to kind of stack up that effect, and sometimes in the hyper late game, like, you're just gonna get dived on and wish you had a higher DPS item or something that's giving you more safety. You know, sometimes you just die before Vitalis can really do anything useful for you. I think I'll throw it, like, high C tier. Oboe, still very good. Oboe, I'll throw to the A tier alongside stuff like Tier Thing. Oboe is one of the better proc items. It gives you a lot of attack speed. If you're going for the proc build, you should probably have an Oboe in there. Braggy's Harp, similar. I'll throw Braggy's Harp, like, low A tier. Braggy's is good for that build. Ledaean Bow, still a good item as well, I think. I see this used a lot less now, to be honest, after the nerf. I still think it's a pretty decent item, though. I'll throw it, like, low A tier. Moving into some crit stuff though. Crit right now, I think is pretty good, honestly. Like, Spectral Armor is still a broken item. Spectral Armor is still going to shut you down pretty hard when you are going for crit. But you still do a lot of damage, man. Like, even with the Spectral Armor reduction, you still do a lot of damage. I think Demon Blade, I'd throw like high B. DB, A, Rage, A. Musashi's Dual Swords, this is still using the old icon. I forgot to update it. I need to change this tier list template and put the new icon in for this item. But this is Musashi's Dual Swords, the movement speed crit item, which I'll give like a B. I think it's okay. And then Death Metal, I'll throw like D. Honestly, I don't think Death Metal is worth using outside of like a comp scenario. In comp, this item can be really good. You know, you can just pull early Gold Furies when your ADC has Death Metal or whatever and just shred them down. But outside of like coordinated games and stuff like that, you know, maybe with your duo Q or in comp, I don't think it's worth building. Dagger of Frenzy remains good, I think. It did take a small nerf, but honestly, it wasn't really that big of a deal. I think Dagger of Frenzy is still like a good rush for ADCs. It's still decent for some junglers as well. It got a little bit worse, but it was one of the best items in the game. It's now just still a really good item, I think. Probably like low S tier now, but it's still good. Executioner, I'll throw like B, honestly. Executioner, it's weird to have a percent pen item this low because the percent pen items are so good, but there's just generally not much of a reason to build Exy over Titan's Bane. If you want to go both, that's totally fine. They are a little inefficient together, but if you really want to just completely delete tanks as an ADC, you can go both of these items. They do work. You'll end up having like an effective 50-something% pen with these, which is kind of crazy. So if you want to do that, you can, but you should never be building Executioner without Titan's Bane. Titan's Bane should be your first priority for percent pen, and if you want more, you can dip into Executioner. But yeah, Titans is just so much better than Exy because you don't have to stack it up. You're immediately hitting hard, and also Titan's Bane pen works on structures. Executioner pen does not work on structures. Titan's Bane is just kind of better. Devos took a hit, honestly. I think there are better options than Devos. I might put it like low 80. I think the item is still useful. The item's still pretty good. It's just so slow now is the issue. You know, in ADC, if someone rushes Dagger of Frenzy or Sunbeam Bow and you've rushed Devos, you can't take that fight for a long time until you get your Devos done. And you can lose a lot of pressure that way. Similar in solo, you know, you would rather be rushing something like Reaper or Bard Carver over Devos. In solo, I think Devos is just too slow. Once you can get it done, it's crazy stats for sure. But I think the item's actually in a reasonable place now. You know, it has that trade-off. It's a really good item if you can survive the early game and get it stacked up, but it will get out-traded by other options in various roles. Kin size, I'm not sure how good this is after the changes, to be honest. Is it good? I haven't really seen people building it too much. It might be decent, though. Like, it does do just flat max health damage now, which is kind of nice. I'm probably not confident enough to put it in A tier, though. I think I will throw it, like, maybe in high B. I have seen a couple of people picking this up a little bit, but I'm not sure if it's good yet, to be honest. A couple of the, like, magical ADC items, these are generally pretty bad. I'll throw a Bracer to, like, C. Bracer's, like, pretty bad. I wouldn't really recommend building it. And then Nimble Ring is good on, like, a handful of picks. I'll throw it, like, B. It's good on Ra. It's maybe good on Poseidon. There's not really many picks that want this item, but it can be good on a few. Avenging Blade, also using the old icon. I need to update some of the icons on this. Avenging Blade, it was super good, and then they removed the slow from it, and it's not super good anymore, to be honest. I think I'll probably throw it like B. You can use it. It's still got pen on it, which is nice. It's got high strength. It's got high max health. It's got good base stats, but generally, I don't think this is, like, super good. Brawlers, pretty good. Pretty good. I'll probably throw Brawlers to, like, maybe low A tier at best, high B tier maybe. Obviously, this is very matchup dependent. If the enemy has a bunch of ability heals that are going off constantly, this item is really good. It's just, you know, a bit situational. I'll probably throw it, like, high B, I think. Sanguine Lash, probably A tier. Sanguine Lash is still good after the rework. If anything, it's a little better than it was before. This item does put out crazy damage once you activate it. You know, it's only going to be a little bit of passive damage otherwise, but for those, like, few seconds where it is activated, it does a lot of damage. Lifesteal's still pretty popular in solo. You know, you can go something like Reaper into Sanguine Lash or Bard Carver into Sanguine Lash and maybe get an Umbral Link in your build there as well if you want. It can be pretty good. I do think this item's still pretty solid. Runeforged Hammer. I've been seeing some rumblings that this item's kind of good, man. I don't know. I've seen a couple of good solo laners in EU, like, rushing this on some characters. I do still feel like it's passive. It's just a bit bad, but, like, its base stats are good. I guess if you're building it for base stats, really. Like, it's just got high strength, high health. Health regen is nice for solo lane. I'll probably throw it B. I think maybe it does have some use cases. Shield Splitter, I'll throw, like, B as well. Shield Splitter's, like, okay. If the enemy team has, like, heavy shields, or if you're playing against or with an Aladdin, as in, like, building it on Aladdin, it can be pretty good. But generally, like, it's not really something you can be building every game. Berserker Shield is fine as well. You see this picked up a tiny bit on, like, Bellona. I guess if Amaterasu was better, she might pick this up. It's generally not super super great though. It's just something you kind of build because like it's one of the better attack speed tank options, I guess. Attack speed tank options aren't great right now though. Vital Amplifier, I never see this used, man. Like even on characters that in theory should build this, like Bellona, I never see this used. Which probably means it's generally like not a great item, but like on paper this item's super good, so I kind of feel bad putting it below B tier, so I guess I'll drop it there. Shifter Shield, another item that on paper should be good, but I never really see anyone build. It is just a big stat pile, which is kind of like the negative of the item, I guess. You know, you're not going to be getting any useful passive, like extra damage from Sanguine Lash or, you know, Life Seal or whatever. You're just kind of getting a big pile of stats. I do think this item's probably better than its, like, usage rate would suggest, though. I do think the item's decent. I'll probably throw it B. Golden Blade, probably B as well. Useful on some characters. You know, Apollo Solo, I've seen using this. Maybe Hercules if you want, like, extra lane clear. Maybe Armor wants this if Armor was playable. Yeah, there's, like, a few use cases for Golden Blade and Solo. I think it's okay. Arrow's Bow, pretty bad still. I'll throw Arrow's Bow D tier. Like, this item's just way too hard to use, and, like, building attack speed on support is just, like, super weird. There's maybe a small handful of picks, like Apollo support or Cupid support, that might want this, but generally it's not worth doing. Oni Hunters is pretty decent. Oni Hunters, I'll probably throw, like, B. You could maybe argue for an A tier placement for this. Like, the percent mitigation is pretty valuable. It's one of the few ways to get, like, actually kind of tanky in Smite 2. Protections aren't really going to cut it with how strong Pen is, but I don't think it's, like, crazy good. It's not something you need to build in, like, all of your tank builds or anything like that. I think it's fine, though. Phoenix Feather, also fine, I think. I think Phoenix Feather is flying under the radar a little bit right now. Obviously, it can't be anti-healed. It can be, like, a soft anti-heal, so if the enemy has something that is, like, going to proc off of your item healing, it can be countered in that way, but it does give you a pretty solid heal, man, if you use it when low health. I think it's okay. Screeching Gargoyle, also okay, I think. The silence can be valuable. It's AoE in the Moonlight phase, which I think people forget about a little bit, so it's very powerful in the Moonlight phase. You can silence everyone around you. Has cooldown rate on it as well. Not like loads of cooldown rate. I think it's 10 or something like that, but it's kind of hard to come by good cooldown tank items, so this is, like, okay, I guess. Shogun's Kasari, pretty bad. I'll throw it like C tier. Honestly, I don't even see like Bellonas and Armors and stuff like that building this, which probably means it's bad. Genji's Guard is pretty good. I'll throw Genji's Guard B. Probably like a high B, honestly. As I was talking about with Gargoyle, like cooldown on tank items is kind of hard to come by at the moment in terms of like good options. And Genji's Guard is one of those good options, I think. You know, it's got a flat cooldown refund passive as well, which can be pretty valuable. Yeah, it's a decent option. For sure. Lightbinder probably remains ST. I think Lightbinder's still, like, super good, man. Decent on some supports as a rush. Very good in solo on some characters as a rush as well. You know, stuff like Baron, Aspect Osiris. RCO probably likes this in solo as a rush as well. Like, it's just the ultimate I win the early game item. Like, no one outtrades Lightbinder. It's kind of like Dagger of Frenzy, I guess. You know, you rush Dagger of Frenzy in ADC, no one's outtrading you. You rush Lightbinder in solo, no one's outtrading you. Like, it's generally not going to scale as well into the late game as some other options might, but it basically just says, I win the game for the next 5 minutes. You can't fight me. The health swing that this provides in a trade is just crazy, you know, with the fact that it heals you and shields you and deals damage to the enemy. Like, all three of those things add up, and it's like, how do I outtrade this item? It's just like a 400 or 500 health swing every time they use it on a 15-second cooldown. Or is it 20 seconds now? I don't know, but it's still crazy. Okay, we're gonna have to zoom out quite a bit here. Rod of Asclepius is probably terrible. I'm going to throw it F. I don't think I've seen anyone ever use this item. I think it's just bad. Breastplate of Valor, I'll probably throw like B, maybe. Probably like a low B. It's not as good as Genji's Guard. I think if you have the option between these two, Genji's Guard should be your pick. But obviously, yeah, one is magical defense, one is physical, so that can be relevant. But yeah, they're both like high cooldown options. I think Genji's Guard would be your preferred option if you don't care about which kind of defense. Breastplate is like fine, though. It can give you decent cooldown. It has good synergy if you have a lot of healing in your kit. Mystical Mail, I feel like this item's underrated, man, but I don't really see anyone use it. Like, the base stats on it are pretty solid, and it does give you a lot of, like, extra lane clear and extra pressure in solo. But yeah, I just really don't see anyone use it. I haven't really tried it too much myself, but I assume it's probably bad. Maybe I'll give it, like, a low B, though, to be generous. I think it's worse than Breastplate of Valor, probably. Yeah, I guess I'll throw it C. Stone of Binding, I thought this might be good after the rework, but I don't see anyone use it. I think it's bad, dude. I'll throw it like C. Cersei's Hexstone, pretty good. Pretty good. I don't think the item's incredible or anything, but it's very useful on certain supports that want to keep themselves safe or have a way to engage. You know, Sylvanas likes this item, for example. I'll throw it like a B. A little bit situational, but I think on some supports it's pretty good. Eye of Providence, I still think this item's bad, man. People say, like, oh, it's so good. You know, you can farm economy off of the wards and everything, but, like, to me, I don't see the value in this item necessarily. It does give sentry Genji was, which is super good. It's just, I feel like you would rather be getting your vision without wasting an item slot on it. That's like my main problem with this item. But I guess if people are just like spamming down walls, it can be decent economy. I guess I'll give it like a high C maybe. Eye of the Storm, I assume is probably still F tier. I think after like the Mage nerf that it got where it was like OP for like a month, they just kind of killed the item. Gauntlet of Thieves, I'll give it D. This item's bait, man. I always say this item's bait. Like anyone who builds this, I just lose respect for them as a player immediately. Okay, I'm being a little dramatic there. There's maybe a couple of use cases for this item. The thing is, like, it just doesn't really do enough for you. It will make you tanky and hard to kill for like 5 to 10 minutes at best, and then once people get late game and start building Soul Reaver and Heartseeker and maybe Kin Size, you're just gonna melt. It gives no procs, it only gives you health. Like, it's gonna make you tanky until people get their actual real damage builds online, and then you're just gonna melt. Pribwin, incredible item, man. This item's underrated. I'll throw it like ace here. Pribwin, I don't understand why people don't build this item more, man. Obviously, if you have a low protection build, it's not gonna be very good. So, like, if you're going solo lane and you have, like, fucking Reaper into Barbed Carver into Sanguine Lash, Pribwin's not gonna be very good for you. You have no procs in that build. But if you are in a build with a decent amount of procs in support or in solo, I think this item is very good. The amount of shields you can get out of this item is kind of crazy. And it does okay damage as well and slows twice. You know, it slows on the initial activation, and then by the time that slows one off, the second activation goes off and slows them again. It's really good for sticking to people. I do think Pribwin's a heavily undervalued item right now. Helm of Darkness, pretty bad. I'll throw it like C tier. There's maybe D, honestly. There's like occasional use cases for this. You know, if you want to like get out of an Odin cage, your team didn't buy Shell or whatever, and you're playing a mid laner that can't get out of Odin cage, you could maybe buy this. But yeah, in general, not a super valuable item. Helm of Radiance, very good. I'll throw it like A tier. It's situational. There aren't too many solo laners that will want to use this, but like Aspect Osiris is a good example. You know, any int-scaling tanks or like int-scaling mages that want a little bit of defense in the solo lane, I think this item is incredible. This thing gives like upwards of, I think, 50 something, maybe even 60 physical prot while giving half decent int. And it's obviously better in matchups where you're against like some kind of tick damage. You know, if you get Mordred 3'd with Helm of Radiance, it basically instantly stacks up to the full amount of protections for any follow-up that Mordred will be doing off of that 3. So like those kind of situations, this item is incredible. But just in general, I think the item's good. Like almost 60 physical prot I think it gives, which is like absolutely crazy by Smite 2 standards. Nemean is fine. Nemean I'll throw like B. It's better against crit builds than it is against the on-hit builds, because it only reflects like the actual basic attack damage itself. It's not going to reflect like Oboe, Tearfing, Bragi's Sunbeam procs. So it makes it a little bit less good against those kind of builds. But yeah, I do think Nemean's absolutely a solid viable option. Very good against crit hunters. Hussar's Wings I'll throw like C. It's potentially an option if you're against a lot of heavy slows. You know, if you're against several annoying slows like Cupidal or Nemesis, or maybe they're building Gem of Isolation, I guess. It's just really expensive. That's the main problem with this item. It's a really bad power spike, and it doesn't give like that many prots. Actually, it's a lot of health. I think it's like 500 health, 25 of each prots. And like 25 of each prots, honestly, by Smite 2 standards isn't horrendous, but for the price you pay, it's not great. And then it just like, you get a ton of health that gets shredded off by Heartseeker and Reaver late game, which isn't ideal. Speaking of that, Leviathan's Hide is terrible, man. This item is also bait. Like, it just gives you a ton of health, man. The reality is that in Smite 2, building a full health tank build is just trolling, which is unfortunate, I think, but like items like Heartseeker and Reaver are just going to completely ruin you, and you have no prots, so everyone's just going to do a ton of damage to you. Yeah, the item's bait, unfortunately. I think it'd be cool if these kind of builds were good, but they're just not. Glad Shield, pretty good. I'll throw Glad Shield like B, at least. Probably like a high B. Again, similar to Pribwin, like Glad Shield isn't going to be super good if your build is like Barbed Carver into Reaper into Sanguine Lash. Like, that's not going to be a super great build for Glad Shield, obviously. But if you do have a decent amount of prots in your build, I think Glad Shield can be good. Pharaoh's Curse, underrated item, man. Definitely an underrated item. I probably want to throw it in like B, I think. I think this item is pretty solid. I think people underrate this item a little bit. It's on a pretty low cooldown. It gives a big attack speed and movement speed slow. It's very good for just like getting on hunters, shutting down their attack speed and just killing them. It's not as good as like Glad Shield and Breastplate and Genji's Guard though, which makes me think maybe I should like reorder these things a little bit. Like maybe we move like Genji's, Oni Hunters, and Glad Shield up a tier potentially. I think this looks more reasonable because these items just definitely are better than the tank items I have down in B. And then maybe, honestly, I move Pribwin and Sanguine Lash up to S tier. I don't know, man. It just feels like, I don't know if there is an S tier tank item in the game right now. That's like my only issue with putting these up here. Like, I think they're not as good as like these damage dealer options that are in the S tier. I do think these are some of the best tank items in the game, but the issue is like I don't think there is a tank item that is like competing with some of the best damage dealer options at the moment. But I guess I'll leave it like this. Feels weird to have like Pribwin alongside items like Heartseeker and Pendant and Deso though, man. I don't know. Maybe Pribwin goes down. Maybe I can leave Sanguine Lash up there. I do think Sanguine Lash is a very good item right now. Prophetic is pretty decent. Prophetic is pretty decent. I think I'll throw it like A. Maybe not. Maybe B. It's a bit situational. I don't think you build Prophetic on like every single solo laner, and you definitely don't build it in support. It's way too slow there. I do think Prophetic is a solid option for some solo laners, though. If you've got a good ranged ability that can proc it easily and like poke and farm up the stacks, once you get this item done, it's like the best tank item in the game for sure. It's like, I think 47 of both procs, 10 cooldown rate, and then 12% mitigation. Like, that's absolutely crazy. Issue is, it's just super slow. You know, it takes a while to get online. Sometimes you'll be at 30 minutes into a game and not done with your Prophetic, which is kind of crazy, honestly. But if you feel like it's going to be an even game and you're on a character that can stack it very well, I do think Prophetic can be a solid option. It's better than Phoenix Feather and Screeching Gargoyle and like Pharaoh's Curse, though. Fine, I'll put it in A. Low A tier for Prophetic, though. Amanita Charm. On paper, a good item. In practice, I don't really see anyone use it. I don't think it's very good. I'll probably throw it like C. Phoenix Shield, probably C as well. I don't really see much use for this. When Mordred isn't building it and is building Lifesteal instead, you know this item's bad. I don't even see Arceus building this, really, and like Arceus is theoretically like super good with this item, right? I think with the nerf to it being like 1.5% of your max health, like it's just really not worth building. On a lot of the characters you will build this on, you'd rather just buy Lifesteal instead. Okay, I lied. Now, there is a truly S tier tank item and a Spectral Armor. Spectral Armor goes straight to the S tier. This item's absolutely crazy, man. Incredible base stats for how powerful the passive effect is. Like, the anti-crit, obviously really good, but it's 25% attack speed reduction and an aura around you as well, which is really good. Honestly, I've seen a couple of people picking this up not against crit, which is like how good this item is. Like, just for the base stats and the 25% attack speed reduction. Like, this item's just completely insane. Like, obviously, it's holding crit back at the moment. If they removed on nerf, Spectral Armor crit would probably take over. So it's a good thing that it is strong, I think, but it is one of the best items in the game. Like, Spectral Armor is absolutely crazy. Sphere of Negation, is that what this item's called? The one that gives you a magical shield now? They reworked it a bit. I've seen some people high on this item. I don't think it's super good. Yes, that magical shield can be relevant, I guess, but oftentimes it just gets pinged off and, like, isn't super relevant. I'll probably throw it like B. I think it's usable. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's, like, super good. I've seen some people saying it's, like, a really good item. I don't think so. Spirit Robe, A tier for sure. Spirit Robe is good. Oftentimes in fights, you are going to be getting hard CC, like, pretty much on cooldown, so this item pretty much in a team fight gives 65 of each prots, which is very good. And also a little bit of healing as well. Spirit Robe is super good. It should be in a lot of your tank builds, a lot of your support builds, and even some solo builds might want this. It's also a flat protection increase. Like, the percent protection increases don't count for items, so like your Freya's Tears proccing won't boost your Glad Shield damage or your Pribwin Shield. But flat increases from these kind of items, like Spirit Robe gives, it gives 40 flat protections. That will be boosting your Pribwin and Glad Shield, which is nice. Stampede, still good, I think. Probably like a low A tier, but I think Stampede is good in support. It's a good rush option or like a little bit later in your build. Just being able to run people down or disengage your team whenever you need to if the fight is bad is just like really valuable. Also, slow immunity can be relevant in some matchups. You know, it's obviously like hard counters, stuff like Cupid ult. Team Beats, probably A tier. Again, there's a lot of characters in the game right now that like Team Beats is just super valuable. You know, Humbats is running through everyone. Baron is super good right now. Ares is still pretty good. There's just a lot of situations where Team Beats will be very helpful. And I think, honestly, a lot of the time you should be building this item in support. We have a copy of Totem of Death for some reason. I'll just move that down to the bottom. Void Shield, pretty bad, honestly. I think both the Void items aren't great. Like, yes, it gives a little bit of percent pen, like against backliners and stuff like that. It can do a little bit of extra work for you, but I think you'd rather just get an actual damage option than going into something like these items. I think I'll throw a Void Shield to, like, B, and Void Stone to C, because I think Void Stone is just worse than Void Shield. There's less applicable characters for it. Mantle, I've seen some people a little bit high on Mantle recently, and I can kind of see the argument for it, I guess. It has cooldown on it, which is nice, and it just kind of prevents you being, like, insta-bursted, which happens a lot, even to tanks in Smite 2 in late game. If you're just getting CC chain bursted down, Mantle will proc stun everyone around you and give you a chance to, like, either get some more damage out or get to safety or something. I think I'll throw Mantle like B. I didn't love this item before, but I've seen some people picking it up to decent success, so I'll throw it B. Triton's Conch is good. Triton's Conch is good. Is it A tier worthy? It probably is. Obviously, it's situational. It's a strength and intelligence item, so you have to be a hybrid scaler with good scaling of both kinds for this item to be good. You know, on picks like Yorm, picks like Chark, picks like Odin, this item can be good. Yogis, I'll give like a C. Yogis is still bad, man. I think this item's bait, once again. Like, the regen isn't impactful enough for you to be going an item where all it gives you is some health and no prots or anything else useful. Magi's S tier, one of the best items in the game right now. Magi's is crazy good. 35 of each prots is genuinely not terrible. That will reduce the damage you take by a lot, especially if Squishy is building this. And then that bubble is just invaluable right now. And like 1 CC means you're death, you know, especially if like you want to go blink on your junglers, for example. You want to go blink on like Achilles, Thanatos, Bats, those characters that are really good blinking mid animation for an engage. Means you don't have beads, and Magi's can really kind of like allow you to run blink when you previously couldn't, or it just gives you an extra set of beads if you already went beads. Yeah, Magi's is crazy good right now, building it on basically every jungler, honestly, and it can be pretty good on some mid laners. It can even be good on some tanks if you feel like you're getting bursted down by CC. Contagion, this item I feel like should be good. No one really builds it, but like there's a lot of lifesteal going around right now. Like ADCs often have lifesteal, solo laners very often have lifesteal. I'll probably throw it like B. I think it's definitely usable for sure. Dwarven plate, still bad. I don't think there's any reason to build Dwarven plate, to be honest. You don't get high enough protection amounts for like the percent boost to be super valuable, and if you do want to do that, Freya's Tears is going to be a better option, which we'll talk about in a minute. Erosion, theoretically should be really good. Obviously, if you're playing against shields. If you're not playing against shields, don't build the item. Obviously, it's an anti-shield item, but I think if you are playing against heavy shields, you know, like multiple shells, your Moja, Odin, I think this item can be good. Draconic Scale, I'll throw C. It's better than Dwarven Plate, but suffers from a similar problem, which we'll just place Freya's Tears now. Freya's Tears is like at least A tier. I wouldn't say it's quite an S tier item, but Freya's Tears is pretty good. A percent prop boost can be nice, but honestly, the main reason you're building this is it has a 20 cooldown rate on it. A lot of good tank items right now don't have anywhere near 20 cooldown rate. You know, they either have 0, you know, stuff like Spirit Robe, Spectral Armor, Magi, Sanguine Lash, or they have like 10 or 12 like Glad Shield and Pribwin. It's kind of hard to come by 20 cooldown rate on an item that is actually good. You know, Breastplate has 20, but it's not a great item. And that might be the only other tank item in the game, honestly, that has 20 cooldown rate on it. So, like, the main reason you're building Freya's Tears is for the cooldown. But the percent prop boost can be nice as well. It can save you. And yeah, the reason you're not building, like, a Draconic Scale and Dwarven Plate is because these don't stack with each other. So, like, if your Freya's is boosting you by a percent, it's not going to stack with a Dwarven Plate and Draconic Scale. They will still proc and they will still give you a percentage of your base protections, but they won't give you a percentage of that higher number that's already boosted by Freya's Tears, so they don't really have good synergy with each other. And of these percent prop boosting items, Freya's Tears is just the best one. And again, they won't be boosting things like Glad Shield and Pribwin. They don't count for that. Scepter of Dominion, F tier. It's a funny item. It's fun to troll around with. You can occasionally make some sick plays with it, but generally I won't recommend building it. Daybreak Gavel, in theory, a crazy item, but even on the characters that it should be good on, like Guan Yu or Baron or whatever, I don't see much use for it, so I guess I'll throw it C. On paper, this item's nuts, though. I don't see people building it, so I assume it's bad. Heartwood Charm, pretty good. I'll throw Heartwood Charm like B. It's situational, obviously. You want this on like gods with really strong healing abilities that you can duplicate. But you know, like Sylvanas, for example, can be good with this. Artio can be good with this. Guan maybe could be good. Afro potentially. Umbral Link is good. I'll throw Umbral Link to A tier. You need some lifesteal in your build really for this to be like super good. But yeah, the item can be pretty good, I think. It's giving 80 physical prot and 40 magical prot when it is procced on like all of your allies. Obviously, you're not always going to be sharing healing with all of your allies, but that's its maximum potential. 80 physical, 40 magical prop, which is pretty good. And it also gives you a little bit more lifesteal for any potential synergy like Sanguine Lash in your build, which is cool. Regrowth is still decent. Do I throw it like high B or low A is the question, I guess. And Chile, pretty good, I would say. I'd throw it like at least B tier, probably. That silence can be valuable. It's got obviously good synergy with certain picks. Like, it's really good on Baron. You silence them so they can't jump out of your ult, or like Mulan for the same reason. But I don't think it's like a crazy good must build or anything like that. Eye of Erebus, I think it's probably just terrible. I don't think I've ever seen anyone build this. It just seems too awkward to get like actual good use out of. Like, you have to place it down and then wait for it to arm, and then someone has to run by it. Like, it's just cumbersome. Shabbat Effigy, another one of those items that like should be crazy on paper, I think, but in practice, I've never really had too much success with it, and I don't really see anyone build it either. I think at best I would give it a low B, because I think the item should be good. It's just I don't really see people use it that much. Maybe like a small buff, and maybe people will try it out more and see if it's good or not. I do feel like the item should be good though, man. And maybe I'll throw it like low B for that reason. And then Chandra's Grace, I'll probably throw a B as well. It's okay. It has 20 cooldown rate on it, which as we talked about earlier with like Freya's Tears and stuff, is very valuable for tank builds. It's super hard to come by good tank items with high cooldown rate on them, so a 20 cooldown rate on this is nice. And then like a little bit of regen stats can be good, I guess. But yeah, there you go. That's the full item tier list. You got your best items in the game up here with the S tier. You got your worst items in the game, never build them in F tier. And everything else in between. Let me know your thoughts on this, obviously, down below. And I will catch you guys for another video later. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.